it all started by helping myself and others to act on our promptings. That's how the whole thing started, and everything we did was about that. Literally everything. Like we couldn't there in the very beginning. We couldn't even send a card. We didn't even have the technology that would go over the internet and go to the printers and have the printer send the card. That technology wasn't developed up front, and so all I knew is that, well, it's not here yet, but I still got to help myself and others act on their promptings. So we started teaching these little seminars. We'd do them at libraries, public libraries. We'd go, and I had this little day planner system that people could put greeting cards in the back of the day planner system, and we'd have 7-8 people at a workshop on a Tuesday night at the local library, and we'd teach about promptings and how you should follow up with your promptings and reach out in kindness to people. And so we started that way, and we never stopped. It took the technology a couple of years to catch up with us. Once it did, things kind of took off from there. So it was all about personal touch, reaching out to people and acting on your promptings and putting the personal touch into what you do. So then we had another concept called I Love You Man, and we did the I Love You Man thing before. I think Bud Light or some beer thing did an I Love You Man commercial, but we did I Love You Man way before, because I used to always say, I love you, man. And I have actually had a story about saying I love you, man, that kind of caught on, and we actually called some of our seminars I Love You, Man seminars, which we had some challenges to that, if you can't imagine. So we kind of dropped the I Love You, Man concept, but went on to some other stuff. The vision always was, whatever it takes to help myself and others act on their promptings is what we were going to do, and everybody that came to work here really caught on to that concept. They started sending cards themselves. They saw the effects of acting on promptings. It got into their soul. People that worked here, people that printed the cards, people that cut down the cards, people that answered the phones. It really got into their soul of how powerful the product was. So it wasn't just me really wanting to help people act on their promptings. It became everybody that ever came to work here. So yeah, we, early days, my goodness, startup companies go through all kinds of trial, and we certainly were no exception. I mean, we went through all kinds of havoc. I remember days when, we were used to printing 100 cards a day, and then we'd get a spike, so our whole system could only get out like 100 cards in a day. That's back when we had the old Doc 12 printers, and we had to hand feed the paper through the printer and then turn it around and feed it back, and we could only get 100 cards. I remember my wife Jody doing that herself. She'd print the cards and do everything by hand, and she used to have to drive down. She'd print the cards, but we didn't have anything that scored the middle of the card, or we didn't have a cutter either. So she'd have to take she would print the cards, but then she'd have to drive across town to a print shop to have the score put in and to have the cards cut down. And then she would fold them, hand stuff them in an envelope, pick the kids up from school, and they would put the stamps on the envelope on the way over to the post office. Heck, they did that for 8 or 9 months. But I remember a day when, we're printing an average of 100 cards a day like that, and then all of a sudden we got a spike. And we, come into production one day and there's 400 cards in queue. Now, to put that in perspective, we do an average of 50,000 cards a day today. But this was back, we went from 100 cards, all of a sudden there's 400 cards in the queue, and it was panic. It was absolute panic. How do we get them out? And everybody jumped in. That's the way we were. I remember the first Christmas season, we had no idea, that we were going to be hit with as much traffic as we got hit with, and all the campaigns of cards that had to go out. And it was everybody. We're bringing family members over, people that we knew. I was calling people on the phone, hey, I need you to come down and help me get these cards out tonight. And we'd do that kind of stuff in the early days. That's what you do. You just do whatever it takes. So we have employees and independent affiliates both that have been with us for 16, 17 years, ever since the very beginning. And so, yeah, I mean, it is a family experience. I mean, I've got Ryan Tranmer as an example. He's my head of graphic designer, has been from day one. He worked with me before we even started sending out cards, and I watched I watched his kids grow up. His oldest is like 17 now. I remember when his son was born, and so they've been with us through the whole experience, and they've just grown right along with us. Glenn Bogue's been with me from day one, from the very beginning. Super Dave Smith, we've been buddies for a long time, and he's been with me on the independent affiliate side and on the corporate side for many, many, many years. He and his wife, Lori, and of course, Jody and I, the list goes on and on. On the affiliate side, we have Jordan Adler's been with us for 15, 16 years. Bob and Betty Ann Golden, these are top level reps today and sent out cards, have been with us for a long time. But we've all of us that have gone through, we've realized that we've had something special. It's not just about the greeting card, for sure. It's not just about the business opportunity. It's a movement. It's a movement to help people get to a better level in their life. It is about relationships. We've become the premier relationship development company, and part of the reason for that is not just the product and the culture, but it's the people. The people that I have around me and have had around me for 20 years, together we've made it the premier relationship development company. And we look together to take that to a whole new level. If you think send out cards is big in relationship development, wait till you see where we're going, because we're going to 10 times what we've ever done in the past when it comes to creating relationships with yourself, relationships with other human beings, relationships with people in your business, and that's where we're headed. And I've got the best team on the planet to help get us there.